Norway's about to get unimaginably rich, and the strange part is that Norway's not planning to sell more oil, more gas, or more coal. In fact, one day, they may not need to sell any of it at all. When Russia invaded Ukraine, many European countries turned to Norway for oil and gas. This led to a five-fold increase of their petroleum exports, and it made Norway Europe's largest supplier. The Norwegian economy is strong, and like they always do, they invested the profits into their government pension fund, which today is worth around $1.5 trillion, or $270,000 per person. But then something happened that could make oil and gas look very small. In 2023, in a region south of Stavanger, Norwegian geologists confirmed something extraordinary. Beneath the ground sat one of the largest phosphate rock deposits ever found, around 70 billion tons. Phosphate is an extremely rare and essential mineral. It is used to create fertilizer that feeds the world, create batteries, solar panels, and even electric cars. About 70% of the entire phosphate global supply is in Morocco, followed by China, Egypt, and Algeria. These are geopolitically sensitive regions. Western countries depend on them, but they do not control them. But Norway just changed that. This single discovery could be worth up to $24 trillion. That is roughly equal to the remaining oil wealth of Saudi Arabia. And suddenly, Norway is not just rich, it is strategically powerful. This discovery can propel Norway into a whole new category of rich. At current prices, this rock could be worth $24 trillion, which is similar to the worth of Saudi Arabia's entire remaining oil supply. But to understand how Norway reached this moment, you have to go back much further. In the 1950s, Norway was home to just 3.5 million people. It exported fish, timber, and raw materials. It had been poor centuries earlier, but by mid-century that was no longer true. Norway already had high literacy, low inequality, and a strong democracy. This matters more than people realize. In the early 1900s, Norway learned how to use its geography. Mountains and rivers became hydroelectric power. That cheap electricity fueled heavy industry and modern growth long before oil entered the picture. There is a popular myth that Norway was poor before oil. It wasn't. What it lacked was global relevance. Then in 1959, everything changed nearby. The Netherlands discovered the Groningen gas field, the largest gas field in the world at the time. Suddenly the North Sea mattered a lot. Within a few years, all major oil companies were searching the North Sea, but Norway hesitated. They were concerned that foreign companies might walk away with the profits. There were also no clear maritime boundaries. So if oil was found, how could they know that it won't be claimed by another country? In May 1963, Norway issued a royal decree declaring sovereignty over its continental shelf. 2 years later, European countries agreed on maritime boundaries using the median line principle. Exactly 1 month later, Norway allowed foreign companies to police their bids, and the exploration of the Norwegian North Sea started. It took a couple of years and more than a few failed expeditions, but eventually they found oil. This oil field was huge, and it continues to be a significant source of income for Norway today. Norway also did something unusual next. Instead of selling control, they built it. In 1972, the government founded Statoil, now called Equinor. The state owned most of it. They trained workers, built refineries, and learnt the business. This decision changed everything. Norway was successfully able to keep a large part of oil revenues within their country. This is quite unique in the world. Most resource-rich countries fall into what economists call the resource curse. Oil creates oligarchs, corruption rises, and democracy weakens. But in Norway, this didn't happen. There never really emerged a class of Norwegian oligarchs. Wealth stayed public, and they developed into one of the countries with the highest standards of living in the world. Norway has a GDP per capita of over $100,000, and they live on average 10 years longer than other people in the world. By the 1990s, Norway faced a new question. What do you do when oil money keeps growing? Most countries spend it, but Norway didn't. In 1990, they created the Government Pension Fund Global. Every surplus krone went in the fund. The rule was simple: spend only the returns and save the rest. By law, the government can spend only about 3% of the fund each year. That discipline is rare. By 2023, the fund earned about $380 billion in market returns, but only a fraction was used. The rest stayed invested for future generations. Today, oil and gas make up around 20% of Norway's economy. Important but not dominant dependence. Norway was able to diversify early. Then came Ukraine. Russia's invasion didn't just change geopolitics, it changed energy flows. Norway's petroleum sector surged again. Its oil prices rose and profits exploded. And then phosphate entered the story. The deposit near Stavanger was first noticed years ago, but only in the early 2020s did scientists realize how deep it ran. Around 4,500 meters deep, far deeper than expected. At current technology levels, only about 1,500 meters meters is reachable, but Norway has seen this before. When Ekofisk was discovered, engineers expected 30 years of production. More than 50 years later, it is still running. Technology always catches up. If Norway can extract even part of this phosphate, it could control more than half the global phosphate supply. That will completely change global markets. In 2021, China restricted phosphate exports to protect domestic supply. Prices surged worldwide. This showed how powerful supply control has become. Markets are no longer free in the old sense. They are now geopolitical tools, and Norway understands this too well, but not everyone is happy. The European Union is concerned. Phosphate refining is polluting. That is why Europe outsourced it decades ago. Norway is not a European Union member, but it belongs to the European Economic Area, so its laws still matter. In 2024, the EU is expected to vote on rules that could slow or accelerate extraction, because the environmental concerns are real, but there are also geopolitical concerns. Morocco, currently the world's largest supplier, would suffer. Phosphate makes up nearly a quarter of its exports. A sudden supply surge could collapse prices. There are also technical limits. Most of the phosphate is still out of reach, but history suggests that Norway will wait, because that is their strength. If extraction happens, profits will likely flow into the same place oil profits did, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. If that fund doubled or tripled over decades, Norway could reach something unprecedented. $1 million in public wealth per citizen. No other country comes even close. Some suggest Norway could increase foreign aid. Others joke it could fund megacities or global climate projects. But Norway's real power is restraint. They have shown that wealth does not have to destroy institutions, that patience can beat greed. This is why Norway may become the world's richest country, not through excess, but through control. Oil made them wealthy. Phosphate could make them untouchable, but only if they choose to use it the same way they always have.